Alderman Middleton.
Here.
Councillor Barr. Councillor Duffy.
Shot.
Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
Shot.
Councillor Hutton.
And Shaw.
Councillor McDade. Councillor McKee.
It's just rolling later.
Councillor Mooney. Councillor O'Farrell.
Shot.
And Councillor O'Neillis.
Shaw.
Thank you, members.
Thank you, Stephen. So, just going to read the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live on the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. If you are seated in the lower public seating media area, it is possible that the recording cameras will capture your image, and this will result in the possibility that your image will become part of the broadcast. By entering the council chamber and using the press or lower public seating area, you are consenting to being filmed and consenting to the use and storage of such images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purposes of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. If you wish to avail of this, you should move to the upper public gallery. A copy of the council privacy notice can be found on the council website, derrystrabane.com. Members, I'm happy to take any declarations of members' interest at this moment, or you can raise them at any time during the meeting. Go ahead, Alderman Middleton.
Thank you, Chair. Just to note that I'm a newly appointed Commissioner for Foyleport and Harbour, so I have an interest in the deputation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's been noted. Alderman Cook.
Item 8, a board member, Peace Plus.
Thank you. That's been noted. And Alderman Guy.
Item 8, Peace Plus member, and 12, employee of the Siege Museum.
Thank you. And Councillor Hart.
Peace Plus board member.
Councillor Hutton.
Same, item 8, Peace Plus board member.
Councillor Gracie Nealis.
Same.
And just for myself as well, also a member of the Peace Plus board. Okay, folks, moving on to our open for our one of two deputations today. We have Brian McGrath, the Chief Executive of the Foyleport and Harbour, along with the Chairperson, Ryan McCready. You will have 10 minutes for your presentation, and then after your 10 minutes, we'll then put it to the floor for a further 10 minutes. So over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. It's good to be back in the chamber, albeit from this side of the house. It looks very different. And just want to say thanks to the chair and indeed Stephen and his team for the invitation here to present to Business and Culture Committee today. I think it's timely. It's a timely opportunity to share with members, and you can hear about firsthand about the port's 170th anniversary. But not only that, the huge potential it has as an economic driver in the pursuit of sustainable regional development. And on the 170th anniversary, as a trust port, we were established by an Act of Parliament back in 1854, which entrusted commissioners to manage, maintain, and to develop the port for the benefit of future stakeholders and future generations. So we're uniquely recognised by both UK and Irish governments as the competent statutory harbour authority. And like within that legislation, we've got a constitution which explicitly states that commissioners are duty bound. We're duty bound in terms of conservancy, from right the way down to McGilligan Point and Greencastle, all the way up to Craigavon Bridge. And that extends to a fiduciary duty that we have as commissioners to reinvest all profits back into the port for the upkeep of assets. The key thing to take away in terms of the governance framework for the port is it's got no shareholders. We reinvest all profits. And I think it's really important in an economic environment that we have today that you can trust or have trusted partners with council. But throughout history, the port has been the beating heart of a port city. whether it be transporting generations migrating to and from the foil across the world, exporting and importing millions of tons of cargo, the Battle of Atlantic, including the surrendering of German U-boats in Lissahalli, to even to more recent times, the port has been a key enabler for maritime tourism events on the foil, such as the Clipper Festival that we've seen in years gone by, but more recently, the Maritime Festival. And the port really looks forward to that every year. We make our assets available for the public to enable these key events, whether that be the marina, the various pontoons, but more important, our staff, to actually facilitate and enable the delivery of this. And their wealth of knowledge and experience goes way beyond the foil. And I suppose we're proud to collaborate and work with Council, Stephen, Aidan and the team in doing so, and we always look for more opportunities to collaborate in the future. And if you didn't notice during the Maritime Festival, I hope you did have a chance to go down the quayside and experience and feel the atmosphere. We actually held an event for the 170th anniversary, and it was focused for our employees and staff to celebrate them and make them feel like VIPs. And if you've seen the laydown and our marquee and everything that was laid on, you would have been jealous of our employees in Foyle Port. It was such a good lay on. And part of that, we were happy to see the mayor take an interest in Foyle Port, who came and helped us mark the 170th anniversary by cutting the cake and handing out the cake. And it must be noted that she also did eat the cake. And so it was a real wonderful occasion. And that was noted by our employees that really cherished that engagement one-to-one with the mayor. Now, the past years, in terms of the port and the 170th, it's easy for me to stand up here and say all that because that history's been written. It's easy to read out. But I suppose now I want to discuss of what we're going to do in the future and how can we work together and become a real asset to the city once again. So Foyle Port has got huge potential as an economic driver, not just for the Northwest region, but in terms of tourism and our trading ability for the whole island of Ireland. And here today, I want Council to recognise that. I want to recognise us as a strategic partner in moving forward to help us deliver the good jobs, the greater regional balance, and supporting that in the green economy. And at the same time, we can boost productivity. So our unique location as a cross-border asset and the marine gateway, which serves not only this region, but further afield. Even if you look down at Lissahalli alone today, you see a great big cruise liner, people from all over the world looking to come here and spend money and stay longer. But I suppose uniquely to us as well is not just that, it's our proximity to energy sources and the power, our transport links, our data connectivity, and our land capacity. These are key ingredients on how we're accelerating and shaping the long-term development of the port, both as a utility and a trading platform. Our strategic objective is to decarbonise port operations. Now, this presents significant opportunities, both within the digital economy, providing further support to the growing offshore wind developments and within that sector, and indeed to enhance cruise tourism within Greencastle and to a lesser extent in McGilligan Point, because no matter when you anchor off in the cruise, go to Greencastle or McGilligan, each way you'll end up going through the city to experience things like Derry Girls or the walls themselves. Great things to show. So members, I put it to you this way, if you're really serious about supercharging the Northwest City region's economy, Foyle Port is part of that solution. We want to be a strategic partner with you. And to help me convince you of that, I'm going to hand over to Brian, and we can take questions from the team who are here today as well. So if you may, Brian, take us through some detail. Thanks, members.
Ryan, thank you very much. And Chairman, thank you for the invitation to come. We're very pleased to be here, especially on the back of the Maritime Festival, which really brings the port back into the city in a way which, on such a scale, it's absolutely fantastic. And we do appreciate the close working with your council officers as well on that. Foyleport is a true cross-border institution. We support the regional economy. We support about 20,000 farms from the commodities that are brought in through our trading platform at Lissahalli. We're also developing a broader offering in relation to cruise tourism, and we've been working for some time with Donegal County Council as well in relation to an increased cruise tourism, but also a renewable energy terminal at Greencastle. So what we really want to be is at the heart of any regional development in relation to Northwest and Northwest cross-border economic growth. The port has a track record of delivery in that regard. We have established over time at Lissahalli a substantial land bank which is adjacent to industrial power, data connectivity and deep water, which is unique in the British Isles actually in terms of capacity. So we're looking at digital economies, we're looking at renewables, and we were talking yesterday with executive ministers on how we can meet their policy objectives in terms of going forward for economic growth. So it'll maybe come more in the Q&A session, but just to say that we have a tremendous opportunity in relation to developing renewable energy. We've got a number of different investors with options at the port to develop different technologies in that space. And I must say that in relation to the support that we get from your officers, and particularly in planning, we have a very good experience in terms of developers getting their plans through the process in Derry in a way in which we hear is not necessarily the case in other areas. So we want to thank you for that. We want to continue on the really close working relationship, and we're looking to work with you to co-design how we might respond to opportunities like an enhanced investment zone, which we know that there's UK Treasury money available to develop this region even further. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brian and Ryan, for your presentation. As a neighbour of the port, it's very exciting to hear the potential of the economic growth of the port, what will, of course, develop job opportunities, and it's even more exciting hearing about the green energy and the way that the port is moving. So we're just going to open it up to the floor here. The first indicated speaker that I have is Gracie Neelis.
I just want to ask a couple of wee questions first, if that's okay. I'm actually a member of a community wealth building hub here in the city. There is 2 pilot schemes of the community wealth building hub at the minute. There's one here and there's one in Larne. And I know that the one in Larne is working very closely with the port. Has there been any indication of the port coming on board with the community wealth building hub here to basically what the port is obviously extremely, you know, there's a lot of financial benefit with working with the community, with the port, and it's working very well in Larne. And one of the things that we have been discussing in the Community Wealth Building Hub was the potential of working with the port in the future on our project. Is this something that has ever crossed your minds before? Thank you.
Would be interested in looking at the specifics of the model that you're describing. We have a large number of engagements with various community sectors and groups. We allocate a percentage of our profits every year to go to community activities. And at the moment, our biggest commitment in the area is sponsoring AWARE in terms of mental health provision. And that has actually been really successful, and we're really pleased about that. So every maybe a 3-year period or whatever, we would look at selecting new vehicles for that investment and reinvestment. So be more than happy to look at it. But we also, in addition to that sort of more significant element of support, a more modest way, we would look at some projects in local communities like mother and toddler things and pensioner schemes and wherever else. So we've got a a keen desire to hook in through that kind of mechanism that you're describing. And I'm happy to talk with you again, and our colleagues are happy to discuss that with you and see where we could help.
Thank you. Councillor Fall.
Thanks, Chair, and welcome, Brian and Ryan. It's nice that your names rhyme. So just on behalf of the SDLP, we view Foyleport as a strategic partner, although it's not clearly defined in any sort of memorandum of understanding. We view the port as a key infrastructural asset, and we recognise the economic potential of the port. We recognise that whatever's good for the port is good for the council, it's good for jobs, it's good for standard of living right across this council area. But we also recognise the economic potential of the £150 million enhanced investment zone proposal, which has been announced and was discussed at the East West Council back in March. Our view is that Derry in the Northwest needs to get its fair share of that funding, get its fair share of the benefits of that massive funding pot. And we think it's an ideal vehicle to address regional balance and address regional inequalities. So in your view, where do you think the port should be going with this? Because we think it offers so much opportunity. Thank you.
It's a very timely question, Councillor, and I appreciate the chance to respond. We see the port as a real enabler in relation to being, we're the most remote port with, it depends how you look at it, within the British system, the UK system, we're the most remote westerly port in the British Isles. And for us, it's all about being joined up, especially as a cross-border entity. So we're peripheral. It is a problem in terms of competitiveness to be on the periphery because things cost more and everything else. So the idea of a rebalancing, they used to call it levelling up, but apparently they've changed that now. But the idea that you would look at inequalities and you would select areas which would benefit from that kind of investment is really important. We at the port have been looking for that kind of investment stimulus for many years and nothing was forthcoming. And what generally happens is the areas, like for instance, with bigger ports in different areas, even when we were within the EU, the big ports tended to get most of the support. So basically, the more you needed, the less chance you had of getting something. So what we're looking to do is to make the argument, make the case along with council. And from a selfish point of view, we want to see the port at the heart of whatever the mechanism or model or case is made to get the lion's share of that 150 million located here in the Northwest. So we're mindful that the other stakeholders like council, like university, like the regional college, there's a lot of issues about skill, but we need to have the capacity physically to locate green technologies, and we need the ability to bring, alongside the port's capacity in terms of shipping and industrial development, we need to be bringing the new generation of people through. We've got a big succession planning issue at the harbour in terms of age profile that we've got to deal with. We've got a fantastic workforce, but there's a big proportion of them are now heading towards the end of their careers. So we need to be bringing young blood in, and we see a comprehensive package around this, investment area as a great opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. So we'll be working with council and council officers to try and co-design something in that respect.
Next indicated speaker, Councillor Neelis, and then Councillor Malay.
Sorry for coming in again, just on the back of what Councillor Farrell said there about the lack of formal constitutionalisation. Can I put forward a proposal, please? Can I just say that the Council recognises and endorses Foyleport as a strategic partner to drive sustainable economic growth for the Northwest region through decarbonisation and diversification into the renewable energy and digital sectors. And I'll send that on.
Okay, just give it a minute there. Did we get that up?
I'll second that.
Just while we're waiting that to go up, do you want to go ahead, Councillor Minnie? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. It was just on the back of what Brian was saying there on the last one about the succession plan of the port. Obviously, indicate there was that the age differential maybe getting that way, and obviously you have to try and probably find a different talent pipeline as such to try and, you know, bring in succession. Would you see the university as well in that sort of, you know, viewpoint as well? Because obviously they would sync together, our council here, yourselves, and university being maybe a talent pipeline or another source of talent, you know. Thank you, Chair.
There's two strands to that, I think, to answer it. Absolutely, the university, in relation to research development in a lot of the technologies and at that kind of higher end. For us on the ground, there's a big issue that the regional college will have an input into. We would be very keen to try and establish some sort of clustering arrangement with other industrial providers, whether it was for port operatives, welders, you know, technical kind of areas where there is a tremendous skills deficit. So I think we need to be mindful that it's not just only about academic high-end PhDs and degrees, although they're very valuable. But we think that there needs to be a concerted effort jointly in the area that reflects the regional need. And ultimately then that we would be able to employ people in good jobs that would be able to respond to this economic stimulus. Within our strategic plan, it's actually on 3 strands. It's to do with water, that's the shipping and the trading and the cruise tourism. It's to do with land, which is to do with the land bank that we have in the industrial adjacency. And then the most important element is the people part of it. And that's split into 2 areas, people internally, which is the employees and the succession and all of that. And then the external people around the stakeholders like yourselves, like the university, the colleges and the council and other interested people. So what we think is that we can't just expect investment without the people there to actually deliver it on the ground. And that will be a challenge, but we're very much across that.
Thank you, Brian. Sorry, Chair, just 2 seconds. I'm glad you mentioned actually the tech as well, because obviously it wasn't actually, you know, sort of focusing on like academic or third level, but also the aspect of developing apprenticeships and trades and skills and keeping those skills alive as well. But thanks very much for that indication. Cheers.
Thank you. Members, we have a proposal up on your, no, we don't, actually. Still working on it. Any more speakers on that? There we go. I just timed that so well there. We now have a proposal. We'll give us a wee minute there just to read that, okay? Okay, folks, that's been proposed and seconded, as we know. Anybody want to speak on this? Alderman Cook?
Thanks, Chair, for letting me in, and thanks to Brian and Ryan for the presentation. We in the DEP fully endorse this proposal. We fully recognise the importance of the port and want to see it go from strength to strength. The port is a great asset to our city, and as you mentioned, supporting things like the agricultural sector, charities such as Aware, tourism, your involvement with the very recent Maritime Festival, and much, much more. So I just want to finish and congratulate you on your 170th anniversary and wish you every success for the next 170. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Alderman Cook. Councillor Hargan, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome to Brian and Ryan as well. to the meeting today. Thanks for coming in and sharing your plans. And in terms of the proposal, I have no problem endorsing the proposal for the port to be a strategic partner with the council. I think if we are, we want to see, infrastructure developed in Derry in the northwest, and I think that the council should be working with the port to make that happen. At the same time, becoming a partner means that, the council's corporate positions on BDS, on workers' rights, on our climate pledge would have to be, partnered with the council, with the port as well. So, and those are some of the, things that are, we've had some discussions in here about. We don't need or I'm certainly not looking to debate the issue of free ports versus, and maybe that plan will disappear now because the Tories are gone and there'll be a different approach to economic development at the ports. I think that what you've said already about acknowledging it is great that we're able to celebrate 170 years of the port. It's had ups and downs. And I think I'm glad to hear that the workers felt properly acknowledged as well as part of that. One thing, just in terms of talking to some residents in the area, I know that there's been some issues there, and that'll continue. It sounds to me like some of those relationships will need to be reset, and just about establishing trust and clarity about plans. And if you want to comment on that, I'd be happy to hear it as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Just to say, actually, the Freeport piece is not something that we've been supportive of necessarily. We were at the forefront of changing that idea to become an investment zone or an innovation zone, because there were issues around the Freeports which were problematic, I think, for stakeholders generally and us. So we're not overly concerned about that. In relation to the interface with our stakeholder in terms of residents and the local communities, I think we've got extremely good relationships with them. There are occasions when it becomes maybe increased from time to time at certain pressure points. There was a point whenever we bought an area of land adjacent to Strathfoyle, for instance, which in fact the planning for the application went through yesterday, and that was an element of contention. But what we did was we've engaged with the community with an attempt to try and develop as sympathetic a development as we can, because we know we're impinging upon or backing on to the community. So the plans for that will have a sort of border area of hedging and things, which will be very discreetly done. So there's always that element. I think one area where I think can bring clarity to that for both us as a port and a landowner and community is the local development plan. And I think that when the settlement on the zoning within that local development plan is really, really important. The majority of the port lands which we look at to develop within this investment zone concept are not adjacent to Strathfoyle in the way in which that 8-acre site has been, but rather on more industrially sited lands around the DuPont area, as was, which is industrially zoned, and maybe historically there's some remediation needed done because of some legacy issues there. So we would like to think that we can develop the port in a way which is not impinging upon the legitimate areas of concern for our neighbours, for instance. There's always housekeeping issues around publicly owned roads and port users and how they maybe create maybe some dust in some cases like that. And we do try, although it's not directly our responsibility, to clean that up and try and do our best to be good neighbours. But I think we've really escalated the intent around stakeholder engagement in the last few years, and certainly in the time that Ryan's been in the chair. And we will continue to do that and invest in trying to satisfy as best we can. Mindful that some people will never particularly be comfortable with that, but we will do our best. And we will certainly try to go beyond our statutory remit in that to make sure that we're not causing any problems for people that are living in the close proximity of the harbour.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next and last speaker, so we need to move on, folks, is Councillor Mooney. Yes, that would be Councillor Farrell. Apologies. I was wondering, I know what I was speaking there. That's why.
Finally,
Councillor Farrell.
So obviously, there's no dissent. I think there's broad agreement in terms of the proposal. And as I had said previously, we recognise the port as a strategic partner. And if we formalise that arrangement, that's great. So you've seen the word in the motion. Where would you want this to go now? So Council recognises and endorses Foyle Port as a strategic partner to drive sustainable economic growth, etc., etc. How do we work in partnership to put this into practice? So what I might be putting you on the spot here, it might need a further delegation, etc., etc. But your initial thoughts on how we do this?
Thanks very much, Councillor Farrell. We have been working together for some time, good engagement on a lot of things in terms of shaping how we want to position ourselves for pending policy, such as an enhanced investment zone. But the kind of deficit we think is become a strategic partner needs to be more than just not written down and working together with officers. We need the backing of members. So when we go and like co-design something with council, then it's got credit and it's got the substance and backing of a local authority. So for example, if we go to whether it's Irish ministers, UK ministers, or executive ministers, and they say, well, if we're going to do anything in the Northwest, have you got the backing of the local authority? Prior to today, we couldn't say definitively on paper, yes, we're strategic partners. The next step of this is we will be strategic partners, and we will look to re-engage with council officers to either co-design or at least shape what an enhanced investment zone will look like in the Northwest, so that it is coherent, co-designed, and we can all stand over it. And each of those components, from Foyle Port, Chamber of Commerce, the universities, and all the other key stakeholders, centred around the local authority. So it's ironclad, because I can assure you now in Belfast, they're doing exactly that. In Newry, they're doing exactly that. And we need to be well positioned to compete and to win that bid. Not to do so would be a shame. So this is the opportunity to strike now, and with members backing, we'll certainly play our parts with your strategic partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, members, and Ryan and Brian again. Just a suggestion here, Stephen. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, so just taking that slightly further, members are content to work on the proposal, to engage with Foyle Port, with Brian and his team in particular, to put more kind of meat and detail onto that, and bring a paper back in September that outlines the members exactly how we're going to engage, how we're going to move the process of the investment zone forward, and how strategically we can work more closely on a number of different initiatives from there. So if members are content with that, I'll organise that for September.
Thank you. I think that's a good idea, and I think everybody's in agreement here. So again, thanks to Ryan and Brian and members for your questions. We're going to continue on a meeting. You're more than welcome to sit on, but I think it's got more sense.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Just give it a minute there, folks, just to be change around our deputations here. Okay, members, moving on to our second deputation of today. We have Jim Collins, the project manager from Northwest Carnival Initiative. Same again, Jim, you'll have 10 minutes just for your presentations, and then we'll open it up to the floor then. Thank you, go ahead. Wait.
Okay, what's that? Happy days. Right, so did you get any of it? Okay, we've been established since 2004. And we've led the development and of community and civic carnival arts throughout Derry City and Strabane District Council. And this is through, quality programme in terms of carnival creation and skills development. Working in partnerships to grow the appeal of the city's two main carnivals, the Spring Carnival, St. Patrick's Day, and Halloween Carnival. Developing and increasing participation and audiences to create a family-friendly, inclusive, quality, safe events for visitors and local communities alike. So could I have the next slide, please? So I'm just going to give you a kind of quick overview of our kind of recent activity. So as I say, the bulk of our work, but not exclusively so, is to engage communities in the participation of the two key civic events. First of all, the Spring St. Patrick's Day Carnival Parade program organised over that. The most recent one was organised under the theme of Out of the Darkness into the Light. We try and bring, we just don't organise a parade, and I suppose you can organise a parade and just do it under the broad theme of celebration, but we find you get more kind of engagement from both the community participants and the artists who you engage, I suppose, bring that vision to life if you have a theme. So springtime being the kind of the beginning of the longer days, and in terms of seasons, we've just come out of the darkness of winter. So that was quite a useful tool to engage the community. So in terms of our programming, for those that aren't familiar, basically it starts off with we make an open call through social media and through the various community networks and say, we're having a parade. This is a theme. Is your group interested? So from our point of view, it's really important that we reach out to as broad, for it to be a proper community civic celebration, we have to engage the various communities within the wider community, and they are many. So it's important from our point of view to continue to engage and attract new people, as well as engage those that historically or traditionally have got involved. Because you find that if you get a group involved in one parade, they tend to come along a second time. And that's, I suppose, an acknowledgement, from our point of view, that we're doing something right. We're keeping people on board. So drilling down into the kind of specifics of it, once people sign up for the parade, we then would work with them. We'd offer a range of workshops. Here's some of them here on the theme, and it could be anything from dance and movement through to handheld prop creation and production. As I say, for the St. Patrick's Day Parade itself, we delivered over 104 different activities right across the city and district, with participation numbers reaching in excess of 1,000, engaging a total of 14 carnival artists and facilitators, and importantly, volunteers as well, because without the work that our volunteers provide, we wouldn't really deliver upon what you see, the net result in terms of when you see the parading around the town. We couldn't do it without them. They're critical to us in terms of our delivery. Groups participating in programme and the showcase represented a variety of performance-based groups that included Northwest Carnival Samba Band, that's our own Samba Band, the Columkill Pipe Band, In Your Space Circus School, Class Act, Studio 2 Drama, dance groups from right across the city. This included the Rainbow School of Dance, City Dance, Long Term Dance, Create Dance, Urban Dance, Ellen Hassan Dance, Studio 2 dancers, and fireworks. So you can tell, you can kind of slow up on the projections because the slides, I don't want to lose my position here. But basically, all, if not the majority, all of the various dance groups throughout the city and district participate. There's been, we've also engaged for the Paddy's Day Parade, the sporting organisations And those represented were Ardmore GAA, City of Derry Rugby Club, Trojans, Namaya, Duratrasna, and for the first time, parade participants, TriStar and Oxford Bulls, who are a local soccer group aimed at adults with learning disabilities. So again, that's key to us to ensure the sustainability and you know the continuing engagement of new groups. So it's not just, you don't want to get slack on it and just kind of go, we don't really have to ask, because we get people every year. For us, it's important that we keep delivering upon attracting new groups. We rolled out a series of community-based programs that included workshops in dance and drama, small handheld prop production, and samba drumming classes. Our lead artists in both costume and large-scale prop production produced new work of a really high standard that included the creation of 2 parade-themed inflatables and the design and production of new costumes, helping to create our creative offering. The parade itself received widespread positive feedback across the various media outlets. But from the Northwest Carnival's point of view, the big figure for us this year, this St. Patrick's Day parade, was that we had participants numbering in excess of 900 people. So that's, you know, that was quite a milestone, because generally the parade attracts, you know, between 600 and 700 people. So where am I now? Do you want to rattle through a few more slides and I'll tell you when to stop? Aye, please. Thank you. That's a samba band I was talking about. These are some of the dance groups. That's the inflatables, the new bits we kind of created. And this, sorry if you just go back. See, just for future reference, it'd be probably useful if I could control the no disrespect to you, I'm just saying, because I kind of know it in my head. Maybe I should probably do the timing. There was an image here of a group. They're the African and Caribbean Community Network. Again, that's been a real kind of high point for us, in that we attracted a new group from an ethnic minority, and subsequent to that, we now have enlarged our board membership to include members of the African and Caribbean Community Network. Just on the board itself is representative of the with the local Filipino community, which is and growing each year. Again, the Northwest, Kabalagat Northwest are a group that, again, regularly take part in the showcases, you know. So we thought, I mean, I was chatting to Jonah, and obviously know Jonah over the last couple of years, but I was kind of saying they're trying to convince her to come on board. And she's going, oh no, I have too many meetings, I'm a nurse and this and that. But finally convinced her. I says, look, if you want to be involved in steering the organisation, you need to be around the table, you need to be around the, you know, sitting at board level. So I was really grateful that she agreed. So I'll just move on now to Halloween. You can just keep that slide there just for a wee moment. Our Halloween programming, again, the theme of the parade, which helps to shape the broad kind of Halloween festival theme as well, was the Walled City of Bones. Now, our programming this year involved, again, rolling out, once we attracted the groups, rolling out a whole range of workshops in costume and prop production, fist paint and samba drumming and dance and movement. In addition, several of the participating community groups were engaged in lantern making workshops. Halloween's obviously dark, so it's a good time to make lanterns and bring, bring a bit of light and colour as well as colour out into the streets. Approximately 650 people took part in the parade, attracting audiences of excess of 40,000 people. So again, we'd like to think that we play a key role in attracting not only local people to participate in the parade, but to come out and spend their money, both locally, nationally, and indeed internationally. We're part of that kind of cultural offering at Halloween. Our Halloween program reached over 1,446 people, a total of 29 carnival artists and facilitators, and 14 volunteers were engaged. A wide range of community and performance-based groups were recruited from throughout the city, which, again, I mentioned them earlier, included Cabalagats Northwest, the Macmillan Move On Project, Descent, youth groups from the Currieneer and Tullyola Community Associations, Extern, Trojans, Bishop Street Community Centre, Youth First. There is quite a lot, so that kind of go through the wall, just trying to pick some highlights. And again, Halloween was notable for the fact that not only did we have the Colin Kill pipe band out, we also engaged the Breaking band. And then as part of the you can maybe rattle out a few slides. Am I rushing? Am I talking too quick? He's all right. Okay. These are some of the community-based workshops just here. Some of the volunteers up in our carnival unit. And this is the parade now itself. To be honest, I have to confess, I prefer Halloween. It's because it's dark and there's a bit more crack about it, These are we just passed one there now. That was back in our wee bit, please. Just another one. That's us. Thanks a million. But, yep, you skipped on. This is just an example of some of the work that was produced in terms of the delivery. I mean, we obviously received, for the Halloween parade, and that we receive 36,000. Now, that's part of the SLA. Now, people think that's a lot of money, but when you consider the fact that we go out in the community, we organise workshops, and across the city and district to the groups who wish to avail of them. We produce costumes for everyone. We take them to and from the parade, and we also create large-scale props. Now, this is an example of one of them. Now, without the support of the festivals and events team, we were just kind of working with Jacqueline in terms of trying to find ways where we can unlock additional resources. I kind of spoke to her over, obviously along with John as well, in terms of the big problem we have each year is that we're receiving the SLA, the money that we receive now, I'm permouthing it now, but it's a fact. In terms of organisationally, I'm the sole full-time employee. Whatever money we get in terms of for the parade, for the programming in relation to the SLA, we use it, but it often falls short. The money has stayed the same. We're now on the 5-6 years of an SLA. You should all be aware. I mean, costs have, doubled, often tripled. So we're kind of punching above our weight in terms of what we receive, but in reality, it's not that sustainable. Now, what we have done organisationally is obviously trying to reach out, because there's other organisations, funding organisations out there. The Arts Council is our other main funder. Their money has stayed the same. But to give you an idea, we receive just over 38,000 of the Arts Council towards our kind of general running costs. And it's nothing, We've been pushing at the door. We've been fighting it. Yes, members will know. Ray knows that theres through the co-delivery group, we've invited the Arts Council down, and they just throw their hands up. They're basically saying, what the subtext says, you don't need me to say it. And so we're continually knocking at the door trying to get more resources, and they're telling us there's nothing in the cupboard. Derry already gets its fair share, which I'm sure members would agree that it's not really the case. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with this. Just doing a bit of, no, I suppose trying to give members an awareness of that it's quite a difficult job and it's getting harder. You know, now obviously me as project manager, it's my job to try and secure additional resources, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. So as I say, working with Jacqueline at festivals events, we're able to, I suppose, find additional money that allowed us to I suppose, increase our cultural product. And that's where we were able to find some money and create these new props. Now, these new props are something that we can build upon year after year. So we're not so reliant upon, you know, I mean, if the council would know, council officers would know that if you go to hire someone in off an external organisation that provides stuff like, you know, like large scale props and stuff like that, it's actually cheaper to make it, you know. So that's I suppose one of the roads we're going down, you know, with support with council officers to try and find other ways where we can do that. Because if we make it, it's ours. It's there for the city and district. Whereas if you hire someone on for a parade, you know, you spend 4,000 quid for a prop and then it goes. You know, that's not sustainable either. So we're very keen along with, you know, the relevant officers to try and grow that aspect of the support we get from council. Right, you can rattle through a few more now, sorry. No, I mean, I don't need to kind of bit the Northwest Carnival drum, if you could just leave it there now. But we do deliver, it's acknowledged, but we can't rest on our laurels and think that this is going to happen every year. You know, there has to be, we have to work in partnership with council and other funding bodies to try and secure the money to make us more sustainable. So just part of the Halloween programming past, we continued on with our relationship with St. Columb's Cathedral as part of Awakening the Walls. Now, the cathedral is obviously Christian, you know, so there's obviously some issues with Halloween and stuff. It's, you know, some consider it a pagan festival. So we have kind of worked with the dean in that in terms of trying to create a lantern, a sculptural trail that's more appropriate and more befitting of placing it in the grounds of the cathedral. We've done that this year where we used a lot of light sculptures that were based on appropriately enough, based on I don't actually have any photos of that, but I'll forgive me, where we had a lantern trail within the grounds. I'm just highlighting that just as an example of, you know, how we'll never work on our own. We need to work in partnership with not only the local authority, but all the various stakeholders out there. But that trail, you know, according to the council's own figures, our trail attracted 35,000 people. You know, so that's something to kind of celebrate. What do we see? These are reading that, so I'll maybe expand upon that in a minute. If you want to just batter on there, a couple of more photos. So again, this is just a good, if you just stop here, that's a good example where we created something locally and we were able to use it then and get a bit of support off council to create something that's there that we can adapt or hire out. But that there was created for less than what it would have cost another organisation to come and hire out. That's part of the Maritime Festival. We were busy enough on that in terms of site dressing and stuff. And again, it also provides opportunities for us to think beyond the city and look at new sustainable ways where we can generate our own income. Skills development is key to our programme delivery. Over the period, we saw the delivery of a 5-day masterclass in Carnival Parade mobile base production. That's what that skull inflatable was. And because it's important, since COVID, we have noticed there's less and less artists working out there. So we're keen to reskill, you know, former artists, but more importantly, put down seeds in terms of trying to skill up people who want to be involved in the creative industries. There was a masterclass held up in our Carnival workshop, which attracted 15 artists, and they produced the illuminated inflatable GC. What do we see? Our Carnival workshop, again, it's an integral part of what we do. Not only do we store our assets and create the work there, it provides a space for our artists, volunteers, and the wider community to work, play, and develop their creative skills. As already outlined, the workshop has played host to a number of skill development programs, including masterclass and community workshops. We continue to provide support through the sharing of Carnival assets to a wide range of organisations within the arts, community, charitable and education sectors. This has included providing costume, prop, lighting and PA systems for several of our member groups. The groups that form the board, but also when a group signs up for a parade, we ask them then to become a member so they can get access to some of the resources we have. It's just about, again, in these kind of austere economic crisis times, it's important to kind of share resources. What do we see? There has been a number of organisations, particularly schools. You won't believe how many phone calls I take. Schools looking for a prop or looking for a costume or looking at a mobile PA. So we continue to do that. I suppose it's important, it's useful to do, but from our point of view, it's us reaching out to the groups. And if a group gets on off you, when you're asking them to take part in a parade, you're kind of pushing an open door, In addition to schools, other organisations included Foyle Pride and the Shown Pride, International Women's Day, Irish Special Olympics, HURT, Foyle Hospice, Macmillan, Move On, and a number of various resident groups. That's a Willow sculpture workshop that we organised up in the unit. I'll show you a short film of one that was targeted at Strabane and rural just after my presentation. Further programme and delivery included the
Apologies, Jim, we're run over.
We're run over?
But here,
Right, that's
it's just to
okay.
make everybody aware.
Aye.
I don't want to interrupt you,
No.
but if you have a video to play as well, we need to.
Well, the video's only a minute and a half, so a couple of paragraphs and I'll call it a day, all right? That's okay, Chair. So I'm just coming to the Strabane and rural stuff, just as important, and maybe I probably shouldn't have waffled on too much. So we had a Willow Sunflower Production Masterclass in the Strabane Healthy Living Project, targeting Strabane and rural. Now that's not funded under the SLA. That's money we secured through the Arts Council and their rural arts programming. So it's an example of we don't sit in our lawyers and go, well, the council give us this and that's happy days. We try and seek and are successfully secure programming costs. But the Strabane element that's funded by the council is aimed at engaging groups that'll showcase then at the Strabane St Patrick's Day parade. We targeted several, and over the period we created costumes, working in partnership with local Strabane groups, Encore, Class Act, and we worked with the Gael School, producing another 30 costumes. We worked because we realised that obviously there's more to Strabane, there's more than Strabane, there's the rural as well. So we engaged a number of performance-based groups that included Much Ado School of Drama and also based in Castlederg, and the Special Olympics who work out of Sion Mills. So in total, we worked with 250 participants who took part in 25 organised activities. That's an area that, this coming period now, we'll work working closely with John and his department in terms of reaching out to the rural, both in Castlederg and Newton Stewart. My apologies. So finally, no, that'll do. The other stuff is just broad. So maybe if you could go to the wee short video. The short video is the Strabane project I was telling you about, and then I'll take some questions. Thank you.
ship and Strabane. Well, I have enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. Enjoyed being out and my name's Anne Caldwell and I'm taking part in this one flare weaving workshop in ship and Strabane. Well, I have enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. Enjoyed being out and meeting with the group every Friday there this past 4 weeks. No, I've definitely enjoyed it. And to see coming in that door and just saying good morning and all them people all out there, everybody gets on. Everybody gets on. I really enjoyed it. Other benefits that I've got from this is meeting other people, getting out of the house, and you always get a laugh, and that's important.
We've been working with the Northwest Carnival Initiative for a long time, and they're great ambassadors for arts and crafts in the Northwest. It has been a great project for participants because it's brought social cohesion. It's broken down social isolation, and also it has created a great atmosphere in the centre every Friday afternoon for the last number of weeks.
Brennan was absolutely brilliant. For some of the things were a wee bit hard to do, and he helped out very good. He was very, very good.
That Brennan boy there, he's more than helpful. He's just one of us.
And they've all done amazingly well, really amazing. I'm always amazed really that people who are willing to have a go, they persevered, and they've all delighted then with their finished sunflowers.
Really doesn't it was good now to see the way that it's ended up now. Look, I never thought it was going to happen like this. No, it's good to it definitely has helped my mind, my state of mind.
It was all very good, and the whole project was brilliant, and I would definitely come back again.
Jim, for your presentation. Unfortunately, anybody watching online as well, you'll see that there's some gremlins in the system there, the video's sticking away. But for members, we can get the video sent out for you and a link for you to be able to watch it to get that last part of the presentation. Just on a personal note, thanks to the Carnival Initiative, having worked within the arts and having worked with the Carnival Initiative on many parades within the city and district, I've seen firsthand the great work that goes on and them volunteering opportunities and young people that I've worked with, the opportunities that they have had through the Carnival Initiative several times. It does mean a lot to everybody who is involved in it. So just on a personal level, thank you for that. Just going to open it up to the floor here, folks. Councillor Hargan.
Thanks, Chair. And thank you, Jim, for coming in today to give us an overview of the work of the initiative. And once again, and I think I've said this every year that you come in, the work that the initiative does is absolutely fantastic and extremely impressive. And look, people are very proud in Derry of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and they're very proud of the Halloween Festival. And it's globally recognised as fantastic events for the city. And obviously, as you described, these are not just one-off events. These are events that take a tremendous amount of work, a lot of work in with other organisations to bring it together. And it involves obviously art, but skills and communication and network building or community building, all of that. So I think that all of that work has to be properly acknowledged, and it brings enormous benefits to the council, to the city, to organisations in the city, and I think we have to, really properly thank you and everybody that's involved for the initiative for that work. And the other things that are impressive, it's not just that the events are brilliant and that they've expanded in number, but also that, your board is expanding as well. And it's great to see, the African and Caribbean Community Network and the Kalabate Network being welcomed in. That's very, very important in terms of like what we want to say we do as a city and how welcoming we are. And that brings me then to what you discussed, and thank you for being so frank about it, because, you're saying that you're punching above your weight because the money coming from the Arts Council and from the council is basically static and static for years. And as you're well aware of the discussions that we've had here in the council and with the Arts and Culture Group about the stormont budget for the arts. And we've had the discussions with the Department for Communities. We've had the discussions with the Arts Council about, you know, giving recognition to the work that's done in Derry in the Northwest and the need to invest more, the need to make sure that there's a proper balance of funding. But I don't think that we're there yet. And so I suppose I have a couple of questions, which is really like the expansion that we're seeing, which we want. How many years, how much more can you go on punching above your weight? Because that puts pressure on a small core group, I would imagine, to kind of deliver that. And do you compare the work we do and that you do in terms of delivering a fantastic Halloween festival, a fantastic St. Patrick's Day parade with other cities or towns in the north and or right across this island in terms of like what maybe is produced elsewhere and how much it might cost in places that are maybe better funded? If you can speak to any of that, that would be useful to know, because I just don't think we can shrug our shoulders and say, you know, there's no money and you have to just get on with it. I think that, you know, we have to renew our efforts to get the rate support grant increased and back to where it should be. That won't solve all our problems, but it will give us more money. And I think we have to keep the drumbeat going about increasing the funding for the arts. And the council obviously has to look at what it does itself. And I suppose asking that question about the elsewhere, I would like to get a sense of that. And I suppose, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's done brilliant in Derry, but it's often on a Derry wage, and Derry people kind of making something brilliant happen. We not a lot. And I'm just trying to get a sense today if like that, you know, because it means that we need to do more as a council to back up the kind of work that you're doing.
There's kind of, in terms of what happens elsewhere, like I have heard, you know, people from Belfast kind of looking to Derry and saying what you do is fantastic, and the fact that, you know, they give praise to the council, the fact that the council see that and acknowledge that fact, and support us through the SLA, which is as considerable. You know, we'd argue it's not enough. In order for us to grow, in order for the whole project to grow, we need to find the resources. Obviously, the Arts Council is a big nut that needs cracked. I mean, I naively thought when we got a service level agreement, you know, of just over £100,000, that happy days. That means we should be able to unlock a similar amount of money off the Arts Council. But as I say, we haven't. £38,200. That's what the Arts Council gave us. Now, it's not that they're not, you know, we haven't put on the applications. We put the applications in. I was hopeful that the annual funding programme, where they do take on they're meant to take on new projects each year. And we were blew out, you know, and basically told that the budgets are the same and we can't, you know, we can't do any more than what we're doing. So that battle has to be fought, and I know it is being fought, you know, through the co-delivery group, and I know council members have engaged in it and are fighting that. That fight's not over. I mean, you just can't, we can't just accept it and go, fair enough, you know. We have to fight that battle. In terms of what else is happening out there in terms of other parades, I think, and other events, I think Derry is leading the way. I do think there needs to be more resources. Like we pay artists the Arts Council rate. You know, we're not I wouldn't pay anybody less than what they deserve. You know, so it's not that we're kind of doing it on the chip. We're not, in terms of actual artists and you know what they're due. It's Arts Council rates, and as it should be. The thing is, just what you don't see, and that's why I've talked up the whole issue of volunteers. You know, for example, if you get an artist, they make a template for a headdress. We can then pull in volunteers. They cut all the pieces together. They make the pieces, and then an artist could assemble it. Without them volunteers, we couldn't do it. You know, so at some point, now they're getting a good experience, but we need to be able to employ full-time artists. We need to employ the kind of skills base that we need in order to build upon our potential. You know, because the public out there, they see all these great things and these great events, and we're not going to be able to sustain delivering that on an annual basis. So at some point, you know, it's going to the consumer, so to speak, although I'm constantly talking to people about we shouldn't be consumers of culture, we should be creators of culture. And no, people need to engage. Don't want to think about Halloween. Half a town used to get involved in Halloween and dressed up. There's less and less of that now. The kind of crack's going a wee bit. You know, I think that as on the one hand, through the local authority and what we do, we're raising the bar in terms of what we deliver, but we can't lose sight of the fact that we need to, people need to come along with us. They can't just show up and be fed and have a good time and walk away. You want people to be at it and, you know, engaging in it. So that requires to be thinking strategically, and part of that, that strategy has to be about building an organisation that can help deliver it. And we're not really in a position to do that, you know. Does that answer? Any?
Thank you for that. And the next indicated speaker is Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Jim, for your presentation. I just wanted to come on to thank you for all the hard work at the Northwest Carnival Initiative do, based on that small budget that you've just highlighted today, because as a community worker and being involved in smaller type like festivals, it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's a job that is, you're working through the night, you're constantly worrying about things going right on the day, constantly trying to build up those partnerships. As a parent and a resident, I have been involved just through my children taking part in the parades, and the memories that that has given them. Nobody will ever be able to take that away from them. People cheering them in the streets and dressing up as their favourite characters. But I suppose we did have the Arts Council on here, and as Sean has been rightly pointed out, we did challenge them around the regional imbalance when it comes to the funding here in the district, and we will proceed to keep on and on and on at them about that. But what we did highlight as well, and I think this is really important, is yes, it looks beautiful. Yes, we have the best parades at Halloween, St. Patrick's Day. It's what it's doing for the people of this city. It's their health and well-being. It's giving them real good confidence to come out and take part. So all of that put together, it is important that we look out for yourselves as the main providers of all of that beautiful material that you put out throughout our festivals. But just to say thank you, and we do see the hard work that goes into it, Jim, and we will be written for more investment here in this region in relation to the arts and culture. So thank you.
Bombi saying that, you know, I heard the port talking earlier on about succession, kind of, you know, in terms of the staff are getting out there and then they bring new people in. Like, my salary doesn't come out of the SLE. And I don't know from one year, and I'm not yamming about it, I'm not kind of going, woe is me. I'm just saying, in terms of succession, I don't know from one year to the next whether or not I'm going to be in a job or not. You know, never mind who's coming in after me, you know. So as I say, we need to kind of, and I mean, it's down to our board and the kind of stakeholders. You know, it's not that I'm expecting the council to answer all the questions. I'm just saying that, you know, as a board, we're looking at, you know, how we sustain the organisation, you know. How we make ourselves, even though we're at it a while, how we continue to have, you know, robust systems in place that ensure that we properly run the organisation, you know, kind of going into the future.
Thank you for that, folks. Just a few more indicated speakers, and this will we keep the questions or remarks brief and our responses, please. Moving on, Councillor Farrell, please.
Thanks, Chair, and welcome back, Jim. I know that you've presented to this committee every year since I've been on council, and it's one of the presentations that I look forward to because we can see the service, the value, the difference that you provide to this council there. And that difference is world-class Halloween parades, world-class St. Patrick's Day parades, and everybody in this city can enjoy it. And the most important part is that the amount of local involvement, local people creating local content, and at the same time delivering a sense of civic pride and community engagement. That's what this is about. And it's something that everybody in this chamber should be really proud of. You know, we provide money for this, ratepayers' money, and the value we get for this is tenfold. Because, you know, when you go to any of those festivals, you just see the level of enjoyment and excitement and all the kids that are involved and all the really, really proud parents watching them. And that's what this is about. In terms of Arts Council funding, there's not enough, you know, for your organisation. There's not enough for organisations right across this city and district. We had them in May. They don't think there's an issue. They have no intention of changing. And I asked them 3 times, have they any intention of introducing regional targets into their corporate strategy? And they said no. As a result of that, this council has written to the Communities Minister, and there's a forthcoming culture, arts and heritage strategy. We have asked for a clear commitment on there that mandates the Arts Council to distribute funding on a regionally balanced basis. We await movement on that because the prize is too big. You know, we have shown, this city has shown, and organisations across this city and district have shown what they can do with minimal funding. And if there was appropriate funding coming from central government, you could just imagine the show that we could put on for people right across the city and district and for visitors alike. So I've got no questions. I just want to say thank you, Jim. You're a credit to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Next speaker is Alderman Middleton.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And on behalf of the DEP, thank you, Jim, for being here today, for your presentation overview of the work you've been doing since 2004. That's a really long time, so the energy is great to see. It's been really lovely to hear of the work that you put into the community and to community engagement. In a previous job, I worked with young people who took part in the workshops. They took more than art skills out of the workshops, so you know I could go on, but I won't. It's also lovely to see that you've been increasing participation in our vibrant civic celebrations and parades. We understand the pressures and challenges faced by yourself and many other arts organisations. We've been part of those conversations as well, and it's really phenomenal to see what you can make happen with a shoestring budget. So we commend you on that. And just finally, as a rural councillor, it's nice to hear of the rural work that's been happening in the district too. That's really important for people who are normally feeling a wee bit isolated. So thank you.
Obviously I'm really mindful because I'm based in the city, and we are, you know, we are mandated to work right across the city and district, that and like we've made tremendous, maybe tremendous is, I'm exaggerating now, I'm blowing my own trumpet, but we've made progress in that area, and it's something that we you know, and it's not just hot air I'm talking here. We're making a priority of engaging within rural, and I suppose at board level we would need to get so maybe you have any thoughts of organisations or groupings out within a rural setting. I mean, I'm not talking about maybe dragging them in and making them a board member, but at least we engage with them in some of our programs. And then, as I say, beyond that, there's more chance of you getting people involved, you know. So we're certainly, that's a priority for us organisationally, and hopefully, we'll bear fruit in that area. We have a effort in our part, obviously, because as I say, that you go out on the country. I've been involved in arts activity all my kind of working life, and there's groups across the town that are constantly asked, they take part in stuff, and they get a bit jaded. See, when you go to, Newton Stewart, or you go to Castle there or whatever, and you ask somebody who's never been asked before, they'd be delighted. It's actually, it's great, that. So even from that point of view, you want to get people who are fired up and wanting to be engaged. So look forward to that.
Thank you. That's all the speakers. Just on your last one there about the rural and the Fahan. We all know the best councillors come from the Fahan. So there's loads of groups out around there that I'm sure Julie and myself and the others could identify and send your way. One's already involved in the arts as well. Thank you again, Jim. And thank you to the Carnival Initiative for the asset that we have to this town, and long may it continue. So thank you. Folks, we'll just take a wee 5 minutes there. I'll take them in the order I received them. We see, Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Chair. It was basically, I just wanted to acknowledge a production I attended recently at the Millennium Forum by Stage Beyond Theatre Company. I was accompanied by yourself, the Chair of Business and Culture. The Deputy Mayor was there with his lady wife, and Councillor Harkin was also there. It's not something I would normally have attended. I would declare an interest. My sister works for Stage Beyond, but I thought the whole production and show was absolutely amazing. We met some of the cast members before the show, and after the show, I had to ask that the main actor. I thought he was a professional actor that they'd brought in, but the standard of acting was so good, and the whole production overall was amazing. So I just wanted to put that on the record of my enjoyment of attending that event. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hart. Alderman Guy.
Thanks, Chair. Could I just add myself to what Councillor Hurtis actually says as well, because it was an excellent production, really enjoyable night, and the audience participation was excellent as well. Each one of them was a star, and they really showed how great they actually are. And there was no stage fright or anything with them. They were all brilliant. So I actually emailed them there this week just to congratulate them on the performance. So thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Guy. And just for myself, just to add to them comments, that it was an absolute amazing performance, and all them young people. If anybody doesn't know, Stage Beyond is a performance-based arts organisation made up of young people with additional needs and adults. And the productions that they put on is absolutely amazing. It was a heartwarming performance called Available Light, and it was in memory of their dear friend Catherine, who passed away a short time before. So they done her proud and done all their families proud, and it was a very good performance. Next item, Chairperson Business, Alderman Middleton.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. I just wanted to put on record our party's anger and deep disappointment at the recent paint bomb attack on Walker's Plinth on our shared historic city and walls. This act of cultural intolerance and just recklessness on our beautiful artefacts and walls cannot and should not be tolerated. We talk a lot in here as councillors about shared spaces and shared events. Even the carnival just now, the shared groups that work together for the whole community. But for me, this act of mindless thuggery brings nothing to positive community relations or community cohesion. Sadly, it does just the opposite. I currently have friends over from North Carolina. They are contributing to our local economy through hotel bookings, restaurant bookings, shopping and museum visits, and I'm absolutely mortified that they have had to be here when this has happened. It's been very difficult to explain. Our party and certainly our community see this as an unacceptable act of sectarianism, and we believe that this is one which should be called out by us all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and just my remarks that it is unwanted in this day and age. It doesn't do much for community relations and all the good work that's been done. So, as chair, wholeheartedly condemn that. Councillor Mooney and then Councillor Hart.
Chair, bring me in, and thank you, Alderman Middleton, and to hear Alderman Guy in the radio this morning. Colin Eastwood, the recently elected MP, has spoken this as well. There is no place for this. We know that the monument has a particular unique history in our city and district as well. But we've thought that sadly it was a futile act, and what is the point of doing things like that in this day and age to monuments in this town that reflect the diversity and cultural history of our city and district, and for all its inhabitants in the city and district. So, from our point of view in the SLP, it's a futile and senseless act, and just to put that on record. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Hargan.
Chair, and if I can just add my support to the comments about the Stage Beyond Available Light play. I thought it was fantastic, and my younger brother was one of the participants, and I'm sure anybody wants to buy him a glass of wine, he'll be in the Village Inn on a Thursday and a Sunday at 3 o'clock. So you can go and meet him there. But yeah, look, I agree. I think that the paint bombing of the plinth, you know, was very disappointing. I think it does nothing but, you know, possibly raise community tensions, and that's not what people in the city want to see. I think people want to live in peace. And so I think I'm glad to hear people are speaking out against it and encouraging people not to do this. And if anybody has any influence over people who think this is a good idea, I think they should encourage them not to do this. But I also want to mention just about Antrim, because we've seen this paint bombing in Derry, but in Antrim town, I'm sure people seen swastikas and Combat 18 slogans written on walls. And, you know, sectarianism and racism blight our society. And there's clearly people right now who are interested in fueling them and fueling division. And I think it's very important that we speak out against this and we, you know, organise collectively to make sure that people aren't living in fear and that people are welcome. Whoever is living here is welcome to be here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And just for finally, my own piece is just to recognise the good work of all the officers and the staff was involved in the Maritime Festival. It was a great success. I was up and down the quay myself, and anybody I spoke to had nothing but a positive thing to say on it. So just to give thanks, a really good festival. And sorry, apologies, Alderman Cook? No. Alderman Guy? Apologies.
All right, no, just to add my condemnation to what happened to Plinth. I was working yesterday morning when Aislinn from CCA actually notified us of what had happened. I had to go up and then lock up the area of the Plinth then. It's the one of the worst attacks I've seen on it. There was paint everywhere. I had to ask 3 American tourists to actually leave the Bastion area because it was broken glass. The paint was still wet. It was lying about the ground. And they were actually shocked that these things actually were still going on. I would agree with previous speakers. You know, to me, these people are basically being put up to this. For somebody to actually go to the bother of getting tons of paint, then filling bottles, and then walking the guts of 100 to 150 yards to actually carry out this act, you know, has to be coerced into doing it from somebody else. And they're just using, as typical young people, they basically, you know, spread sectarian hatred at a time that can be tense enough, you know, leading up to the 12th and so on. Hopefully there's no reprisals, but I'd like to just say what Sean, Councillor Harkin was saying as well there, about what happened in Antrim as well. An absolute disgrace that this has been put up outside people's houses. They threaten them. I know our MP has spoke today on it as well for that area, but it's no. Everybody should speak out about it against this and basically condemn it. We have about 80 to 100 youths coming this week to the museum, and at this time of the year we take them out on the plinth, and that's from different cross communities. We also have US and Canadian students coming as well. And again, they would be taken out on the plinth. So for the next couple of days until it's cleaned, and thankfully it is going to be cleaned, we can't even use it. You know, thankfully enough, the wardens today, they cleaned the whole place up, but the paint still has to be removed, but hopefully it'll be done shortly. So thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Guy. So we're moving on, folks. So the matters arising from the minutes of the last meeting was held on the 11th of June. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? So folks, just information received there. We don't need a proposer and seconder as it was done at full council. So any matters arising from the minutes, please? No matters arising. Okay, moving on. Item 8 is the presentation the paper on the Peace Plus tender and update, and that's Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, members. Members, the purpose of this report is to update you officially that the full letter of offer has been received now for the Peace Plus programme and to inform members of the tender process for the 6 tenders that are highlighted within the report. These are the latest batch of tenders that where the procurement exercise had been delivered at risk prior to the letter of offer being received and were ratified at the last Peace Plus board meeting. So there's 6 tenders there. I'm not going to go through each of those tenders. The information is there for you to review. Needless to say that there a significant investment coming in to the council area as a result of the Peace Plus programme and the delivery of these programmes and projects themselves. So the recommendation is that the tenders are awarded as follows and as set out in item 5.1.
Thank you for that, Kevin. First indicated speaker, Aisling.
Thank you, Kevin, for the report. Just to say, every month we're coming in, we're seeing all these tenders coming through, and it's great to see that the letter of offer has been received. They're all coming in under the pillar of thriving and peaceful communities and celebrating cultural diversity. And just after what we're hearing there now, all of these programmes will be very welcomed and very well received. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hutton. I take it you're going to propose?
All right, I'll propose.
Can I have a seconder, please? Are you speaking all too, Councillor?
Second that, Chair, just to say well done to those who have succeeded and have been successful in these applications. I'm sure the funding will be extraordinarily beneficial to them. Happy to second, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. That was proposed by Councillor Hutton and second by Councillor Mooney. Moving on to item 9, it is the DERA Micro Business Development Grant Aid Programme, and that's Kevin. Thank you.
I'm the officer of good news here today, bringing all this light and funding to the table. So members, the purpose of this report is to provide you an update on the potential Rural Business Development Grant Scheme funded via DERA under the TRIPSI programme. Members who were on this committee previously will be aware of the delivery of the TRIPSI programme over certainly a 4-year period up to 2022, and the significant investment that had gone into the rural communities and specifically around really supporting rural businesses in that period. Unfortunately, since 2022, that funding programme was paused and was actually very well felt. The amount of queries that we were as a council's business team were getting around the potential start of that programme was really huge. The demand for it out there was really strong, and as you can see from the information provided on the report, specifically 2.6, around the amount of grants amount of applications that were received, the amount of letters of offer that were issued, and the amount of claims that were paid. So it's a significant amount of money over that period of time. So over the last number of weeks, officers have met with DERA, where DERA have outlined that a business case has gone in for approval to deliver this again. We haven't been given the specific figure that we can expect to receive within Derry City and Strabane. But in anticipation of that happening, we have started to scope out an indicative timeline in terms of the application process and delivery of the programme themselves. And we've started to develop up our own processes internally to do that. So subject to ministerial approval of council, we're hoping that the letter of offer will come in August. So we want to be able to hit the ground running. So what we're doing here today is seeking your approval in advance to accept that letter of offer when it arrives. So council we do receive about we get 10% of the total value to basically cover some staff costs and other overheads. The recommendation is that that members allow officers to accept the letter of offer for the programme for 24-25.
Thank you for that, Kevin. First indicated speaker is Councillor McHugh.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to Kevin for the report.
Obviously content to endorse the recommendation of the report. Just a comment on the previous TRIPSI scheme over the previous years. I had the pleasure of working with a couple of small businesses, and I know they were very complimentary around obviously getting the investment on their business, but in terms of working with our staff in the business department, there was nothing too big or too small that they couldn't do for the business, you know. And even from my own perspective as well, when you contacted anybody in the business team, they're more than happy to contact the business. So I'd like to just to commend our officers for that. The scheme going forward, Kevin, in the report, it says, you know, each council across the north, you know, there's different responsibilities. So in terms of our own council, you know, is our responsibility still the same aspect, or has it changed this time around? Thank you.
No changes in terms of what we are expected to deliver. Really, I suppose some other councils see it as an administrative sort of task. We see it as just another tool for us to be able to go out and promote entrepreneurship and enterprise development right across the district. So we take a very proactive approach to that. We also bring our own expertise to the table in terms of the promotion of the scheme, and then try to join up the dots and link those businesses to other programs that we offer, like Go Succeed, like our international investment stuff, our export programs, our Northwest cross-border stuff. So we kind of take it at a more holistic approach, very proactive, trying to push it out, because we want to be able to ensure that as much of the investment comes into this council area. What I would say is, over those 4 years, the original letter of offer would have been X. We were always able to bid for underspend from other council areas and bring it into this council area. So that's testament to the businesses that are out there in the rural areas and how proactive that they are.
Thank you for that, Kevin. Next speaker, Councillor Mooney. Councillor Farrell. These are two different people, I am aware.
Are the nameplates in the wrong place, Chair? Happy to second on behalf of the SDLP. I know when this funding was withdrawn, a vital funding stream was removed from rural businesses right across our city and district. I know that the OBC has been submitted, and this paper was probably written maybe a week ago. Do we know if there's been ministerial sign-off yet? No.
I can't confirm that, no.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to second anyway. It's just.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Moving on, item 10 is the investment service update, and that's Kevin again.
Thanks, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to provide you an update on activities delivered within the investment service in 2024 and seek approval for the planned activities in the year ahead. Members will be aware that the investment service kind of operates across a number, has a number of different sort of objectives, but primary to that is really around the contribution to the strategic inclusive growth plan, priority outcomes around the economy, and that's around building a strong, sustainable and competitive economy, and the key actions including job creation, investment opportunities in our cities and town centres, and building and strengthening the clusters of industry specialisms that we hope will deliver sustainable economic development for this region. In particular, that the investment team really, you know, more than 50% of its work, probably 60 or 70% of its work, is carried out in partnership with Donegal County Council under the Northwest Strategic Growth Partnership and delivered through the Northwest Development Group. When we're promoting and marketing and raising the profile of the council area, we do that very much from a city region perspective, understanding that this city here is the capital of the Northwest and the key driver of economic growth. So as you'll see within the report, there's kind of three broad areas that the team have been working on. One is around Northwest City region branding, marketing, communication. And that's done through a variety of mechanisms, whether that's social media, communication strategy, and really it's about trying to raise the profile of the place itself. The second area is how we do that internationally in our key sort of markets, whether that's in the US or in the City of London, or right across this island. An emerging and growing part of our work is around supporting the Northwest Tertiary Education Cluster and the Northwest Smart Industry Board. These are boards and mechanisms that have kind of been set up by our partners under the kind of Northwest Development Group umbrella, and they incorporate certainly the tertiary education cluster is the 4 big education providers across the region. So that's Northwest Regional College, Ulster University, Atlantic Technological University and Letterkenny, and the Donegal ETB. And so our team supports the work of the cluster around raising the profile of the region from a skills perspective, and as members will understand from committee papers that have come on here previously around the challenges that this region kind of has around talent and availability of talent, and making sure that our talent match the skills that are needed. So that's a really vital piece of work itself. And then we also collaborate on the Learning City project, where we're trying to develop that as a learning region right across the Northwest City region. From an international trade and investment perspective, members will be aware that the Northwest Development Group supports companies right across the region on a cross-border basis. From an export point of view, the primary market being the US. We delivered the Pathfinder program last year in conjunction with Catalyst, who have a site in Letterkenny and a site here in Derry. And that program was very, very successful during that period. In addition to that, we work very closely with the 2 chambers of commerce, where we host inward visits, whether it's the City of London, the Mayor of the City of London, whether it's the Irish Australian Chamber of Commerce or the Irish Australian Network. So what you're seeing now is a more kind of joined up and strategic approach to what we're doing right across the region. Within the report, you can see some of the activities that have taken place during this period. I won't go through all of those activities, and that's contained within 3.2. But in terms of what's planned for this financial year, from a market activation perspective, we are proposing to recruit 8 companies right across the region to take part in the Pathfinder program again, and that's a program that's delivered within MIT in Boston, really vital in terms of our innovation ambitions and linked to our City Deal investments that are coming in at Ulster University. In addition, that'll be supported through a mayor-led delegation investment activation, and then the big ticket promotional event from a trade and investment perspective at the Golden Bridges luncheon within Boston itself. From a City of London perspective, we're keen to build on the linkages that exist there, and that's really going to be branded around the RegTech project, which again is a cross-border shared island project, a key driver in terms of cluster development around the kind of financial services primarily, but actually spanning out across a number of different sectors and clusters. And then the rest of the work is around marketing and PR and making sure that the profile of the region is as high as possible, and trying to take advantage of any bigger ticket inward visits that are coming in to the region, and where other partners are visiting globally, where we can piggyback on that itself. So all the costs are associated within the investment or within the rates budget of £10,000, and that's supported also through the allocations received under the Northwest Development Fund. So the recommendation is to note the contents of the report and approve the programme of activities proposed for the year ahead.
Thank you for that, Kevin. And the first and only so far indicated speaker is Councillor Hart.
Thank you, Kevin, for that report. And I think it's very important that we do drive and look for inward investment, an area that we can explore internationally and across these islands. You talk about deliverables. The last trip, the Golden Bridges, there was a previous report, you know, of all the meetings that were attended, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just wondering, as a result of that last trip, was there anything, you know, tangible that, you know, that came out of that trip that we could say, look, this is the jobs that we brought here to the Northwest region, or the companies that it accompanied on the trip? Did they, as a result of that, have they been able to enhance their sales to the, you know, the North American market? But I think it is essential that, you know, our presence is there as part of the Northwest region. But I was just wondering around, you know, the tangible results that we, you know, how is it measured, etc. Thanks.
No, it's a really, really good question. In terms of the companies that took part in the Pathfinder mission, so there's that mission has kind of two objectives. The first objective is around it's an entrepreneurship and enterprise education program that's delivered via MIT. So that's the first part. So it's around raising the big challenge for our startups and SMEs here within this region is around their ambition and their ambition to export, and around being provided with the kind of tools to be able to understand how do you do that, how do you access the market. So in the evaluation of the program, absolutely, some of those companies have gone on to access investment as a result of that mission, but also have started to build strategic alliances with other companies within that broader area. Not all of them, some fail, you know, that's just the nature of it. In terms of the job growth, now that's not something that I have the figures for. Within 12 months, I think that would be a challenge. I think that if you look out beyond that horizon, maybe 24, 36, then we can start to measure that. So certainly in terms of being able to access investment, yes, we've companies have come back through our evaluation who have been really affirmative on that, and they've also been able to then access other wider Invest NI or IDA supports, or under Enterprise Ireland actually for two of those companies. So yeah, they're growing, they're providing employment, and they're coming back with a far better perspective of what it takes to, you know, compete globally. And then in terms of the wider raising the profile of the region, so look, we do that work very closely with Invest NI and the IDA, and as a result of last year's engagement, we've had two specific defined engagements with IDA and Invest NI, and we've invited them now again to go on a bigger platform for this year, which we think is important. And we've had a very positive response from Invest NI this year. So it's a work in progress, is what I would say. And I think that it's a longer term burn in terms of the job creation. In previous years, I could have given you all those statistics, but we took a different path this year, Pathfinder, but where we wanted to try to link them to MIT, which is part of our broader innovation kind of ambition. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And it's good to hear that Invest NI, that there looks to be some sort of a sea change there in their approach to the Northwest region. So thank you.
Are you proposing it then, Councillor Hart? Yeah, proposed seconder, please.
I'm happy to second.
Second by Councillor Farrell. Thank you. So moving on, folks, the next items 11 to 14 is open for information. I'm just going to go through them individually. If you want to speak on them, you can. So item 11. Item 12. Councillor Needis.
Just a couple of wee questions. Not sure who I'm directing them towards. Is it?
Let's hear them first.
That would be rather helpful. So, Eden, so.
It's open for information, so there's no decision to be made. So therefore, I think you're probably okay. Yeah. I'm happy to take the questions. If I can answer it, I will. If not, I'll come back unless Aidan's going to walk back into the door. Perfect.
On Aidan, quick. Erin Garmagat. Just a couple of questions. You see the Heritage Venues Group. So I'm just interested in hearing more about it and if it's open to new members. I just noted that it's becoming constituted with its own terms of reference, so that it can apply for its own funding. So what stage is that in now, and is it open for new members or?
It is, surely, yeah, and it is absolutely heritage venues. I mean, it has been a sort of a fairly informal group of heritage venues, just to that's brought together most of the heritage venues who, predominantly the ones I suppose that receive our funding or who are eligible to apply. But it's certainly open to any new members that, if you're aware of them. I would imagine we've reached out to most of them that have groupings. You know, they're obviously heritage venues that have some degree of management and ownership. You know, there's some heritage properties probably that maybe aren't suitable for membership. But yeah, certainly, certainly if there's a member, if there's somebody that wants to join that group, they're welcome to.
When you say ones that aren't eligible, are you talking about privately owned heritage builds?
Yeah, I would imagine, yeah, there's some that are probably, you know, and we would maybe look at how they came into that group, whether it's information sharing and stuff. And I know there are probably some heritage properties, let's say, that maybe aren't occupied, or, you know, there's all sorts of reasons. But the heritage venues in that tend to be ones that are operating as an attraction or operate, you know, or servicing visitors, let's say. So, they're not somebody that maybe has a heritage property that it's maybe a separate, their needs are probably separate. But if there's somebody that's looking, that has an interest in joining the group, we'll gladly talk to them. And if there's benefit in them being in the group, and then there's no reason why they can't join. It's not it's not very prescriptive or exclusive. So I would say if anybody wants to join it, we're probably aware of most of them, but if you know of anyone, let us know.
No, it's just well, probably for myself as well, but it's just because there is a lot of the heritage builds in the city and region that, you know, they're very much working in silos, and there is some collaborative work going on, but not a lot. And it's, you know, going for funding in the future, that is the future of the funding, that it is collaboration work. So it's just to make sure that everybody who is eligible to be in that venue or that group is offered the opportunity. Now, again, just it's been up now running for 5 years, is that right? You have 6 years. So it's just for anybody maybe that's new in the industry, obviously new in the job in the industry, that they know about it, and that they can apply. And just, do you mind if asking while I'm still on here, what's the plan going forward then? So for the past 5 years, there's been £140,000 of funding. Is that kind of the rolling every year? Is that in around that same amount, the 28,000?
We had a particular programme running to build capacity with the heritage venues. And our Heritage Animation Fund is about 86,000 that we run through the tourism section. So that is open every year. That's our annual grant aid. That will continue. I know we're looking to make some adjustments to that to try and just make it better. And we're likely going to bring in a report. We bring in the grant aid report in the autumn to open that, and we'll discuss that with the culture members working group. So in terms of eligibility, yes, that I can send you the details of the criteria for our Heritage Animation Fund, and certainly any of the funds that we have bid for. I suppose the funds that we've bid for to support the heritage venues tend to be the ones that are operating as visitor attractions, and it's looking at those efficiencies, building capacity of those groups, so their governance is good and they're able to bid for additional resources. The group that we bring together, that's to facilitate those discussions and facilitate those applications. So if there's other groups, we can bring them in and see if it's suitable for them to become part of that funding collaboration, or if there's another sort of there's another group that maybe it's eligible to go forward for other funding, but part of the group's role and part of the facilitation of the group by council officers is to identify where the collaborations could be and then where the funding opportunities are. And we have, as you know, ongoing discussions with the likes of the National Otter Heritage Fund and other funders to and have those collectively to identify those collaborative opportunities and who could work together for what programs.
No, thanks for that. There definitely is strength in numbers. You know, that's where the funding is now. And just to thank you for your appreciation of the heritage in the district and all the work that you've been doing on it. I have heard back from a couple of the venues that you've been working with, and they have nothing but great words to say about how you've helped them become more like constituted, and you know, they're a proper working organisation now. So thanks for that.
Thank you for that, Ian. That was the Heritage Tourism Development. So item 13, open for information as well, is the Strabane Business Improvement District. And I have Councillor Hart.
Just to recognise the good work Strabane Bid is doing, and part of the notes there mentions the Hive Co-working, which is an initiative that I helped to start. And I'd just like to thank Emma McGill for all her help in facilitating the meetings that we had and enabled a successful outcome. So thanks to Emma.
Thank you for that. And item 14 is the Northwest Carnival Initiative update. I'm sure we've already had the presentation today, and I don't see no one looking to come on that. So moving on, we're just going to go on to confidential here. Just have a proposer and seconder, please. Proposed by Councillor Cook, second by Councillor Hutton. We'll just wait for the indication. Okay, member.